ready, start. I'm just kidding. Alright. This is episode 23 of the 100 podcast. I brought in my boy Nelson today. He's kind of just, I wanted to bring him in because he's a mechanic. He's actually a hardworking dude out here, like, grinding every day. And I guess the first thing I wanted to ask, since, you know, I don't know much about cars or anything like that. What got you into being a mechanic, and then what type of schooling did you do? What type of schooling do you need to have, and kind of what are your goals?
So, I mean, pretty much what got me into it is, I mean, I moved out here when I was sophomore in high school from Washington, and I was going to school and then just trying to find a job, and my stepdad was like, hey, there's a place over here they're hiring, they just need someone to help around the shop, just clean up and stuff. And I'm like, all right. He's like, you just need to go in and apply and introduce yourself. So I go in, I apply, and the lady's like, you want to start right now? I'm like, well, I ain't dressed for it. I ain't gonna start right now. I'm like, I'll start tomorrow though. She's like, okay, well then we'll start you tomorrow. So then I go in the next day and I just start working over there as just a little shop hand, cleaning up, mopping, picking up after all the mechanics, cleaning up their dirty work and washing cars. So then I do that for about 3 or 4 years. And one of the guys that worked over at that shop whenever I was cleaning up, he moved to another shop. So then a year or two later, he called me up and was like, hey, you want to come work over here under me? I'll teach you everything that I know. And he's like one of the top mechanics here in the valley. I mean, a lot of people just randomly showed up to his house and they're like, hey, I got referred to you by so-and-so. And he's like, okay, my car. Yeah. So then I've been training with him for about 2 years now, working at this other shop, doing mechanic work. I haven't had any schooling, haven't had to pay any money to learn what I know right now. So, I mean, it's kind of benefited me so far. And I got lucky to find the person that I know that was willing to train me, because he told me that you're the last person I'm willing to train other than my kids. I'm not going to take the time or effort to train anyone else.
I feel like that takes a lot of time, man. I'm surprised because you didn't go any type of schooling.
No, I've never had any schooling. But like in his mindset too, it's like, I'm going to put all this time and effort into this guy right here. He's going to work by my side, and I'm going to train him. And I have to trust him and know him. Otherwise, what if I train this dude and all this stuff he knows that I know that a bunch of other people don't know? And he's like, all right, PC, I'm going to go work for this other company. And then I use all this knowledge that he just showed me, but I'm using it against him now for some other company. And it's like, he just has to trust. And
does that happen often?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that do that. They take the training and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to go work somewhere else. Or there's a lot of people out there. I mean, it's sad to say. I'm not going to say I'm the best mechanic out there, but I know a lot. After the 2 years that I've worked as a mechanic, there's a lot of people out there that just claim they're big mechanics and they can't do the basic sample stuff out there.
And what? Give me an example. What's something like they can't do?
Well, like as an example, the other day. So yesterday, we were kind of slow at work. We had some lady come in. We've done a tune-up on her car, which is like spark plugs on her car. Okay. She just wanted to do the bare minimum. We do that. That was probably about a year ago. She came in yesterday, though, with her Audi. It was a newer Audi wagon. She's like, hey, I have no brakes on my car. It's like, she doesn't have much of a brake. You hit the brake pedal, the whole car goes down. The brake pedal goes down, and it barely stops at the last second.
Really?
So we're like, okay, we'll take a look. And
you gotta, like, hold that shit down.
Yeah.
You're like, ah.
Just to barely stop. So I open up the hood, and I check the brake fluid to see if there's anything in it. And the cap is just sitting on there. It's not even tightened down or anything. And there's no fluid in the car, in the brake fluid. And I'm like, you have no fluid in your reservoir. She's like, and I'm like, and your cap was just sitting on top of it. It wasn't even screwed in. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if the person who did the work in your car last did this or what. And she's like, well, I had a brake fluid flush, which is pretty much where you're going to suck out the fluid of the reservoir. You're going to put some new fluid in, put pressure on the reservoir, and go to each wheel and each brake caliper and open up the valve so that way the old fluid will come out. And then once you start seeing the new fluid come out, you close it up and you know all the new fluids to that one. And you go to the next one. And
Gotcha.
So she got that done. And I'm checking it over. And once I put more fluid in the reservoir to where it's full, and I put the pressure tester on it where I have to pressurize it so that when I open the valves, the fluid keeps coming out. I go ahead and do that. I put pressure on it, and as I'm going up with the car in the air, the right rear wheel, you see fluid just dripping everywhere on it. And they left the low valve. So they never closed it. They never closed the valve. So every time she hits her brakes, there's fluid squirting out of it. So then
no wonder there's no fucking fluid. Yeah, exactly.
So she's driving around with no brake fluid all the way from Arizona.
Jesus,
no brakes.
Dude.
And it's like, this lady could have been going downhill. Her car couldn't have stopped, and she could have hit someone. And it's like, this shop was liable for it.
And I know there's people that have all kinds of stories, so I'd love to hear these stories on the comments if you guys do. But my dad was at a mechanic, dude. The fucking guy. Oh, I think you know, right? Yeah. The fucking guy didn't put the wheel on right. Like, they didn't even put the fucking bolts or whatever on the wheel, the lugs or whatever they're called. And that shit, the wheel rolled off while he was driving away, dude. And this car just falls sideways, dude, just on 3 wheels. Like, big old lifted truck, probably fucked it all up. Like,
and the craziest thing is, like, I've heard that story more than once. I've heard that story a few times.
Do you have I just say, I guess from your experience, like, how are most mechanics? Are most mechanics just really trying to take your money?
Yeah, most mechanics out there are just like, hey, I'm going to do... They try and act like they're, hey, I'm doing you a favor. I'm going to
and they're fucking
do you good. And they're just messing you over. They're like... They're putting on a show pretty much for you to take your money.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys out there will be like, hey, I'm going to give you an oil change. And that's like... They never even change your oil, and your filter is all dirty for your oil filter, and it's like
they
charge you this much money, and they don't even do it.
Gotcha.
Or it's like Jiffy Lube. It's like everyone goes to Jiffy Lube or all these little oil shops. And I've heard too many stories about these places, and definitely those people over there don't know what they're doing.
What would you tell somebody like an average Joe, like me going into a shop? What would you tell me? Like, how would you know if somebody's not fucking you over? You know, how would you know to be able to tell that you're kind of getting an actual good job, like somebody's actually gonna put in the work on your car? Like,
yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean,
right?
There's a lot of these people out there who
just guess, I guess, right?
I mean, it's pretty much you have to show. I mean, these mechanics have to show the work that they do and show that they can actually do the work that they're doing. A lot of the time, too, is the biggest thing to tell is if the mechanic knows what they're doing is diagnostics. If you bring your car in somewhere, say, hey, my car's acting up, this is what's going on. And you take it to them, and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to hook it up to my equipment and see if I can figure out what's wrong with it. They hook it up and tell you, hey, this is what's wrong with it. It's going to be like $700 to fix it. And they fix that one part with the labor for $700, and I'm like, oh, that didn't fix it. Like, now you have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, where I work right now, we're definitely confident on...
What cars do you work on mostly?
European, exotic cars. We work on, like... Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Maseratis, Bentleys, Rolls Royce. I mean, me personally, I don't work on the Bentley or Rolls Royce just because it's me and the guy that's training me. We work on everything, but then there's an older guy that works on the other end of the shop that when he was young, when he barely started wrenching, he worked at the Bentley Rolls Royce dealership.
So he knows everything.
And he's like 54, 55, so he's the one who gets all the Bentley and Rolls Royce.
Makes sense, yeah.
He don't like them. He don't like any of the new stuff.
He just knows all of it.
So it's crazy. This dude's like 54, 55, and you can give him a Bentley or Rolls Royce, whatever it is, no matter what the year, from like 1930 to brand new. Maybe not brand new, but like to 2010, and he can do anything on it. But it's funny to watch him because, I mean, obviously I haven't been doing this that long. You see him, we're busy over on our end of the shop, so then we get like a 2017 or 18 Bentley or Rolls Royce that he knows how to work on usually. But all these new cars, all it is just computers in the car.
Yeah.
All these computers in the car. And that's what I've learned because, I mean, that's my generation of the cars right now. I'm mainly learning on the cars that are coming in right now, which are all computer operated. And we have all these laptops and computers. You just hook it up to the car and you have to know how to work a computer pretty much.
And it tells you basically what's wrong.
It's so simple. You hook the computer up and you sign into the program and you pretty much just hit like diagnostic stuff. And you check all the codes, or you go to whatever module that it is that's having issues. You click on it and it'll give you like test procedures. So you go to the test procedures and it'll test whatever component in that vehicle, in that module. You test it, and it'll tell you what to do to test it. How did it come out? Like what was the outcome of that test? And based off of what you're testing and what the outcome was, the computer tells you replace this part. The computer tells you everything.
How does it do that? Like how are the cars set up like that? Like they just have like a little like it's just they all have some sort of electronic plug or something they're plugged
it's crazy.
to.
All it is just all these wires and modules are just a box of a circuit board, and that's pretty much all it is. Just
I get you.
Electronics.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how everything operates.
That's weird, man. Because then you go to like for example, me and my dad, like we both don't know much about cars. Like my dad knows. Actually, I'll tell you that. My dad knows some stuff about cars.
A little bit. I know I've gone to your house.
Yeah, a little bit. He's like, I think it's just because my mom hates on him a little bit, so it kills his. Yeah, he doesn't want to fuck it up, and then have to deal with her jumping on his, married life. Okay,
yeah.
but yeah, bro. We got that. I forgot what it was. 1962, maybe. It was 62 or 60 something. Was it a Ford, bro? A Ford pickup. And it was a flatbed. It had like the wood. It was just a straight like wood. It had the wood slats, in the back. And that shit, dude, it had nothing in it. The engine's like three little things. That's
you drop something and it hits the ground, whereas in new cars, you drop something that gets hung up somewhere and it doesn't hit the ground. It's like, where did that thing go?
It's just like a hole, bro. You're like, what the all right.
It's like a black hole.
Yeah, and we were going to work on it, but it was just too rusted out. But yeah, dude, it's weird how the difference between... What cars are your favorite? What year? What are you? Do you like the modern cars more, or do you like the older cars?
Well, I mean, that's for the modern cars. It's like, I mean, that's majority of the cars that come in are more modern as of probably like 95, which I mean isn't too modern nowadays. I mean, it's still modern enough. Up to 2015 are the majority of the cars we get in. Majority of the cars that I work on that we see a lot of the time are like BMW, Mercedes, and Audis for the most part, just because I mean that's the majority of the stuff that people can afford rather than these Ferraris and
you're not gonna
Porsches
have that every day. Yeah.
But I mean, I think right now at this point, my favorite cars to work on are the older ones that are you can't plug it in and plug a computer up to the thing and say run test procedures through the computer, and the computer tells you what's wrong with it. Like, I mean, I've learned a lot of that already. I don't think everything on the computers. But I think at this point, it's like these old cars. You come in with,
you get
hey,
to
this
like
thing
kind
doesn't
of
start.
Use your brain a little bit and kind of like
this
try
thing
to figure
doesn't
it out.
start, and what's wrong with it? It's like, okay, well, is it getting power to the car? Is it getting spark, air, fuel? And it's just, it takes a little bit more time, but it takes a little bit more knowledge to take the time and check each individual thing and check if each individual thing is doing its proper job.
I feel like in the end, it probably makes you feel like you did a little more.
It's more of an accomplishment.
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
like,
okay,
yes,
well, I actually
fixed
did
this car.
something.
Yeah.
Because like right now we have a 1940 Mercury, and it's been chopped. The whole roof is chopped. The whole suspension has been lowered. I mean, it looks nice when you're looking at it. When I got it up in the air, there's all the rear suspension. All there is a bunch of 2x4s holding up the.
Really? So it's all fucked up. You're just like, dude, like.
And then it was crazy though because it's a 1940, and that's a flathead, whereas the motor, the cylinder heads are usually a decent size, and they have pistons inside the cylinder head on the flathead. All it is pretty much just a cover to go over the rest of the motor, and it doesn't have much of anything in it. And we were trying to get that thing started because I guess it's going to a museum. They don't want any leaks on the car before it goes to the museum. They want it to start and run and stop and everything.
That makes sense, I guess.
The only thing that sucks with these older cars is like, okay, hey, this car doesn't start. We're just getting this car started, which I don't know. That's the biggest joke I hear from my boss. We're just getting this car started. All these older cars, they're old, so you get one thing fixed. So say everything in the car is working at half of its capacity. Mm-hmm. You fix one thing, the problem is that one thing's working at its full capacity,
and then everything else isn't working.
And that's like the next thing is only capable of handling half of its capacity.
Yeah,
now
so it's not going to work at all.
Trying to shoot its stuff to this other one.
Yeah,
and it just blows it out, and that thing doesn't work now.
Wow.
So it's like these old
cars, you end up having to work on the whole car. You got to fix it all, basically.
So this guy came in with like an old Lincoln Continental, and he's like, "We're just getting started." So obviously, just get it started. It's been sitting. We need to drop the fuel tank, go get the fuel tank cleaned out and everything because it's all dirty in there now. We replace all the fuel lines because they're all just been gunked up and sitting there. Replace the fuel pump.
So the car just sat there for years or what?
Yeah, and then we replaced the oil and rebuilt carburetors because they're leaking for the fuel, and replace the battery. That's pretty much it. So we do that. Hey, we're gonna get started. It gets started. We go driving down the block and we realize the whole suspension is like shot. Nothing is good on the suspension. So we're like, okay, we need to replace all this. We go replace that. We go drive it again. And it's like, okay, now the brakes are leaking somewhere.
You're like,
it's like, okay, now we're.
And is this just noises or is this just feeling?
No,
like
just
you can
like
feel
feeling.
the
You can
car
feel the car
just
pulling all the way around everywhere.
Got you.
And so you replace, say, the brakes now. And now everything we're getting capacity and everything, all this pressure is holding up. All the pressure that's holding up now is blowing out all these old seals everywhere. So all these old seals on the brake system.
Yeah, replace all those seals. Yeah.
So we're replacing everything. Like,
damn, that sucks, dude. Oh my god.
Like the worst cars I hate working on, they're British. They're like a Triumph and a...
Triumph, yeah. Isn't that a motorcycle company though? Isn't that a motorcycle too?
I think they make motorcycles, and then there's a... What was the other brand? I can't think of the other brand. I know that we get a bunch of... MG. It's just MG.
Oh, I know. I've heard of that brand too. Yeah.
We were
Don't
driving
they do
one
trucks?
of them.
I think they make trucks.
Do they?
Oh no, that's Mack. Isn't that Mack trucks?
Trucks?
Yeah,
that's
big Mack
diesel
trucks.
trucks.
Yeah.
We were driving this little MG around. The guy that's teaching me everything we drive.
I know what cars you're talking about.
They're like they almost look like a Great Gatsby car, just a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So we're driving it around. We're going around a turn, and all of a sudden, the guy that's driving, we go on a turn to a right turn, and his door just flies open.
Oh shit! You're like,
and he's just like, hold on to the steering wheel, hanging out partially out of the car.
That was on. I think that was on. What was that on? Fucking the Bad News Bears. I think it was when the guy. He's driving his car and he hits a turn and one of the kids flies out of the car. No, the newer one with like well, I think he's in both of them. With Billy Bob Thornton, when they but the newer one of him. But what so like let's say like because most people obviously got modern cars, right? Like nowadays everybody's basically driving some sort of modern car. What are some basic things that you think aren't like too hard, like most average people can work on that don't. Like, let's say you got an issue or whatever, like, you can work on it at your home without having to take it to the shop, but, like, save some money. Like, what's something you could do as just an average guy?
Like me at my house?
Yeah. Is there anything you can do to like, everything? You know, it's not that hard, right?
Like, I could pull a motor out, I could...
Well, not even you, just saying, like, an average guy. So, like, me.
Oh,
let's
just
say,
like,
somebody who
like
doesn't know
you.
shit.
Okay,
yeah,
so not me.
Yeah,
okay.
not you. Yeah, not a guy that's a mechanic, obviously, but, like, a person, like an average person, like even a chick, dude, like a chick that knows nothing about cars, like what could she do to her car to keep it kind of keep it going and not have to spend much money at like a shop, you know? Because and let's know, like we both know, like mechanics, bro, they fuck with women, bro. Like they'll be charging those bitches a lot
of people do. I mean,
women, ladies. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you bitches.
A lot of people do that, but I mean, me, I don't do that.
Yeah, not you. But I'm just saying.
No, I know that's like I was saying.
Majority.
A lot of people are just a bunch of crooks out there.
Yeah.
But for as the average stuff that someone could do around their house or like on their own on their car. I mean, it's kind of rude to say, but I don't think anyone should be touching. If you don't know,
because they're all computers now.
If you need to look something up on YouTube, or if you need to look something up on the internet to do on your car, I don't think you should be touching your car. Because if you need to look something up on the internet, how many people can post what they want on the internet? Everybody.
Yeah,
how many
things
you think you're gonna come across that might be false information that you're gonna come across on the internet? And you think, hey, this is what I should be doing.
A lot, yeah.
You go across, hey, I found this, I'm going to go do this to my car. And you go do it to your car, and it's like, oh, now I got more problems with my car. Now I have to take it to a mechanic, and now it's going to cost me more money
triple
than I
money.
originally would have.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, yeah, you can do stuff on your own car if you really want to. But me personally, I wouldn't recommend anyone.
Well, even like basic
like oil changes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like change your brakes, oil change. Like can an average guy do that, or is that kind of like a little bit too much work for like the average guy?
You can. It's just, I mean, obviously there's all these mechanics out there, but there's these crook ones once again that just want money and they don't even do their job completely. It's like a simple oil change. You get the car up in the air. Before you do that, though, you have to open up like the oil fill cap, the dipstick, and then if the oil filter is on top of the motor, you break that loose, so at least whatever oil is built up in that filter will drop down into the pan where you're going to be draining it out of. So, and then you get the car up in the air, you obviously pull off the drain plug to drain out the old oil. And then once it's all drained out, if it's a rubber seal on the drain plug, you usually can reuse it and just put it back on there. If it's just like a little aluminum or a copper seal, you have to replace it.
Okay.
And you put that back on there, and then you drop the car back down. You pull the filter out, once you're back down with the car, you change out the filter and the seals on the filter, put that in, and then you just fill it up with oil. Sounds simple enough.
Super simple.
But you wouldn't believe how many of these people miss a step.
Yeah.
Once their car's up in the air, once they're done draining the oil,
I feel like I would miss a step.
They put the drain plug back on, but they don't take the wrench and tighten it up, so it's just sitting on there, barely tightened.
So it just
over time, it has
out.
a little drip, and then they just start losing oil.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
what the fuck? We're in the middle of a podcast, bro. I think it's still recording. I'm getting a phone call. I should have went on airplane mode. Fuck. It stopped, dude. Okay, that's all good. I can put it back. Because we still have the audio. Alright, bro. So the video went out because I had the homie Dejan calling me, but only for a second. So let me put this shit on airplane mode.
You're on Wi-Fi though, right? Well, you don't need Wi-Fi to record.
Okay, fuck, dude. Okay. The audio went out, or the video went out just for a second because my homie Dejan called me right now on the phone. I forgot to put it on airplane mode, but it was just for a second. But yeah, dude, sounds super simple, dog. Oil change. But I feel like I'd miss a step, and I feel like a lot of people would too.
Yeah, it's just like I was telling you guys earlier, like the whole brake fluid flush. It's a simple thing. You just open up each valve. You obviously hook something up to it with a little hose and a bottle.
Wait, brakes? You're talking about brakes?
Yes, the brakes. You just bleeding the brakes. All it is a little simple nipple, a little valve. You just break it open a little bit. Let the fluid come out. Once it starts getting clean, you close it up. That's pretty much it. 4 times on each wheel. That's all you do. Seems simple, but then this shop that's certified to work on Audis, they're the ones who didn't even tighten it up.
Wow. And that's all you do is just tighten it.
You just open it a little bit, loosen it, and tighten it. That's it. Something like that. That's just... I mean, even these people who are certified to work on these cars...
Do you think it's worth it to go to school to be a mechanic? Like, because obviously you knew somebody, or well, not even. Like, you didn't. You kind of didn't. You kind of got a way in. You worked your way from being just like working at the shop, and then you obviously you were cool with people that were at the shop, and then somehow you ended up knowing somebody, and then you got the opportunity. But for most people, like, do you think school's worth it to go to school and like actually? I mean,
it's a lot of money.
Expensive, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, for any school, no matter what you're doing, almost any career you choose, you have to go to school for it, unless you know someone in that career where they can help you get your foot in the door. You don't have to necessarily go to school. It's pretty much just like an apprenticeship where you're just sitting there,
like a tattoo job or something like that.
I mean, it's just pretty much like nowadays. It's not about what you know; it's about who you know. That's all it is about nowadays. That's how I mean, it's kind of sad nowadays, and that goes to show all these mechanics out there that know a lot of people that can help them get their foot in the door. They don't know a whole lot. Yeah, and then they're going out there messing up everybody's cars. And just
like, causing more issues than they're solving, you know? And
like, it's funny, though.
Fucking with people, kind of, you know?
Because it's funny, though, because the guy that's training me, he obviously knows pretty much almost everything there is to know about these cars nowadays, unless these newer cars are coming out, and that's our first time seeing them. And whenever we get cars that come into the shop, and it's like, hey, this car's coming from this other shop. This shop can't figure out what it is. The guy that's training me, he just tells me, hey, this car's coming from another shop. I want you, who's been doing this for 2 years or a little less, I want you to find this out, that these people who have been doing this for their whole life can't figure it out. I want you to figure this out.
Let me know what the problem is, and then like, you find the issue.
And it's like, okay, well, I'll figure it out. And it's just crazy. I mean, it makes me feel good knowing that I've only been doing this for a couple of years, and
you just got taught the right way.
All this stuff, yeah. I got taught by the right person, and he was just willing to teach me all the stuff he knows, and I just got lucky. because this guy has people. This guy even has like Ferrari dealerships. People who work at a Ferrari dealership calling this guy who works at just a little family-owned shop for tips. Hey, what am I supposed to do? Or there's this guy that works at a racing team. One of his good friends works at a racing team, and they go to the thermal track over here in Southern California, and he goes and works on these race cars that are just as like a pit crew almost. And he even has to call this guy for tips sometimes. And he just works in a small shop where we don't see those race cars all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and he's still.
And he'll call on race cars basically, like some cars
and
that
he's calling them up on tips on it.
Really? Hey, help me out with this. I don't know how to figure this out.
I don't know. Since this whole coronavirus thing has been going on, this dude's gotten I don't know how many calls saying, "Hey, if anything happens, you got a spot over here." Really? All these people are like fighting over this dude pretty much in Southern California.
They want him to
all the way over by the beach.
We'll take you anywhere. Yeah.
All the way over at the racetracks. They want him to work at the racetrack just strictly, or they want him to work at like any high-end dealer strictly.
I feel like that's people though that obviously love it and put in 110%.
Yeah,
like he obviously.
I mean, if you're gonna be willing to do a job, no matter whether you love it or not, especially with what I'm doing, working on someone's car, obviously it's not being like a surgeon or...
It's pretty important though. Like somebody could die if you don't do it right.
If you're not doing the job properly on someone's car and something malfunctions on their car, they could kill someone or kill themselves. And that's all back on the shop that last did their work and the last tech that worked on that car. If they go all the way back to that person, they're going to follow it all the way back to, hey, you were the last person to touch this car, and this is what happened.
Mm. That's so crazy. I've heard those stories. Like even my grandma is an example. She, I forgot what they did. They didn't. I think it was the same thing. They didn't tighten like her tires tight enough or something like that, and she ended up crashing on the freeway, dude. Crashing and in the hospital and. Shit, nothing like super serious, but still, like that happens.
Still something.
That's something that happens to people.
It's still a risk
often.
for life, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what's your favorite car then? Your Mr. Mechanic dog with your.
Like if I could have any car come into the shop and be like, hey, this.
Me, I was talking to my homie the other day on not the last podcast before. And his favorite is like BMW. His shit is BMW, everything. And then my other homie, his favorite is what was he saying? I forgot. It's some Lamborghini something.
Ventador,
some crazy, some shit. Nah, I don't know. It was probably some fast, one of the fast cars. We don't even know. We don't even know cars like that. My homie, the one that knows BMWs, he kind of knows cars. He works on them a little bit. Tries to.
Yeah.
Tries to. Like he'll fuck with it, and then if he can't figure it out, well. It is what it is.
He brings it to one of the people like,
yeah,
I tried touching my own car. And...
Me, dude, I like Tesla, to be honest. I'm a Tesla fan. I don't know how you feel.
I don't know anything about electric cars. The only electric cars I've ever seen are a Prius.
Really? What do you think about Tesla? You think they're...
Tesla, I think it's just crazy, all this stuff. You have all these older cars with an engine inside of it. And all these companies like Mercedes and BMW, they're getting power out of their cars. Hey, we're going to make the engine smaller. But we're going to add a turbocharger or 2 turbochargers to this thing and make it quicker off of a smaller motor.
Uh-huh.
And now there's Tesla that's coming out with all these electric cars. It's like, we don't even have a motor. All we just have is like a motor, like an electric motor or a dual motor on an electric car.
Yeah, and those things are fast off the line, bro. They're just
that's what it is with electric. Anything electric, the torque that's right off the line pretty much. Instant.
Yeah,
you stomp on the gas and it's there
right away. It goes,
Whereas a gas-powered car, you stomp on the gas, it takes maybe a split second or so to get all the... Cause you have to get all the fuel from the tank into the engine.
Yeah.
It takes a second.
Yeah, and an electric car is literally not going...
It's pretty much like... It's sensing you pressing the gas pedal from here to here. And once that gas pedal's there, it's just gone. Exactly. It doesn't take time for the fuel to get to the motor, whereas electricity moves way quicker than
liquid. Me, man. Yeah, they interest me. Tesla and those electric cars interest me, and a lot of companies are going that way a little bit. They're having cars that have those. They're like half motor, half electric.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Whereas like Chevy had it for a while with the Chevy Volt.
Yeah.
It was electric and gas.
I knew somebody that had one of those actually, and I don't know, not my favorite car. But
I don't think I could ever buy an electric car just because I'd rather have, whenever I step on that throttle, I'd rather hear the sound of the motor and the exhaust.
I get you for sure.
If I'm punching it and going quicker than any gas-powered car out there, with just the noise of a whining sound of an electric motor, that's not going to excite me as much.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard Joe Rogan, even on the Joe Rogan Experience, obviously on his podcast. I've even heard him talk about that feeling is so different, man. Like, obviously, and he's a big car guy. Like, he's into, like, that old American muscle, you know? Like, he's into those older cars, the beefy, loud, you know, you can hear him coming from a mile away. But he says the Tesla's so different because that thing is just like...
Well, I've been in them before. And
have you driven it?
Well, I haven't driven them, but I had a friend that worked at Tesla right here down the street from where I work.
You got to ride in it, and if
he's
you hit the gas, you're like, whoo!
It was a Model X, which isn't even like the P100D, which is the top of the line.
But still not the bottom.
But it's still...
Yeah.
This one, the P100D, is the top of the line 4-door sedan, where he drove me in like a Model X, big SUV, not top of the line, and he punched it, and that thing sucked me to the back of the seat.
Really?
And I was like, dang, that thing's pretty quick.
Yeah. But
And I mean, it excited me and wanted me to get into like a full-blown, top-of-the-line electric car to see
how it goes.
how quick this thing can go.
Yeah.
But I never got the chance to.
So you've never worked on... Well, I'm sure you haven't, actually, because Tesla's pretty, like...
Well, Tesla, the only place that
you
can work
only
on Tesla,
work on it.
they only have their own, I'm assuming, because, I mean, all it is electronic. Exactly. So they have their own software, their own computers, and they're only going to allow that to be the Tesla, the company, and they're going to
Tesla dealership, Tesla, basically, mechanic shop and all that, but what, I didn't even get your answer because I basically started talking about Tesla because I'm a fucking Tesla fanboy. But what car would you take? Like, not even to work on, but what car would you, if you could pick, like, as your everyday driver, like, what car would be your car?
As my everyday driver, or my car that I would want to work on? Your
car everyday driver, being a mechanic, knowing cars, what car would you pick? And and you know what, I should just, because your knowledge, I should ask you, what car do you think for the average person is the most reliable car?
Go get a Toyota.
A Toyota, really?
Toyota Camry or Corolla.
It'll just keep rolling for forever. Yeah.
Or a Honda.
What causes those to be so reliable? Is it just because there's no extras, or was it?
I mean, they're just more well built. I mean, honestly, I don't know what's so different about them other than the company.
Yeah.
Just building a better car than these other companies. I think all these other high-end companies, they see, hey, this person's buying this expensive car. We're going to make these parts go out around this time. Because me being a mechanic now, all these parts on these cars,
you can tell which ones fall apart.
Mini Coopers, a turbocharged Mini Cooper, your turbo is going to go out. You're going to need a new turbo within between 90 and 110,000 miles. You're going to need a new turbo.
No matter what.
Yeah. It might not show up. It might not be throwing any codes, or it might not pop up anywhere. But if I check that turbo out, you're going to need a new one. Yeah. And all these BMWs are a good car. I mean, they're fun cars. I don't know a BMW out there that doesn't leak oil. Every BMW out there leaks oil. Mercedes, I mean, as for a high-end, not necessarily high-end, but a more expensive car out there, I would most recommend a Mercedes for a more affordable one. Like, I guess a more expensive end, I would recommend a more performance car. I would recommend a Porsche out of all these. I'd recommend a Porsche over a Ferrari, a Maserati, a Bentley, a Lamborghini.
I just feel like a Porsche too, though, they've kept almost the same design over and over again.
Me being in the shop, cleaning up around people and everything for like 3 to 4 years, and being a mechanic for about 2 years, the major thing that I've really seen people do on Porsches are oil changes and like valve cover gaskets, which is like simpler stuff. And then maybe the biggest job I've seen, which is like a thing that's real common on Porsches, is in the transmission, is the IMS bearing. The bearing that usually goes out inside the engine, and if you don't replace that thing and it goes out, there's no warning of when it's going to go out pretty much. it's one of those things.
You just gotta check kind
when
of.
it goes out, you have to be knowledgeable about it. I mean, when it goes out though, that bearing's gonna blow apart and it's gonna blow up your motor. Your motor's done for.
So you gotta just kind of replace it.
You have to know about it. Yeah, you have to replace it before you know it's gonna go out.
Fuck. Really? So it'll just because it's in your motor. So it'll basically, as soon as it rips apart, your motor's fucked.
It's gonna fall apart in your motor, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. So,
but that's for Porsches. Yeah, I mean.
But I agree with you because I don't know. I guess like what you're saying, Porsche, they just nothing big usually happens.
I mean, they're a more expensive company out there, but they're not. They're one of the most reliable big performance cars.
You could use that almost as an everyday driver for being a performance car.
For my pick, what I would pick probably is like a Mercedes, probably like a 2010 or so, Mercedes E63, and it's a sedan, a 4-door sedan.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a big sedan.
I've seen one of those.
It's a decent size, but it has like a 6 point. It's called a 63 for a 6.3 liter V8, but technically that motor is a 6.2 liter motor, and that thing has a ton of power behind it. And it's
they're nice.
Definitely, yeah. They're nice. They're comfortable. It's definitely enough power to have some fun with, and it's reliable. I mean, you can buy them at a cheaper cost, but when it comes time to get some maintenance done on that thing, their bills are gonna be like $5,000.
That's what I heard. I did a job for.
All these people buy these cars. It's like
you don't know what the maintenance is.
It's a nice car. Hey, this is a nice car. I got it at a good deal, and it's like, okay, yeah, I know you got it at a good deal. Unless, whenever I see people, I mean, it's kind of messed up, but it's like whenever I see people that bring a car in, and it's like, I got this at a good deal, or I love this car, and I know it's a big pile of junk. And it's like, I know these cars always have problems.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily just to be rude, but just try and find everything, make sure this customer is safe. This is all the stuff you need done to the car, and this is all the stuff you need. This right here, this section right here is the major stuff that you should get done as a priority. This stuff over here is like, okay, you can hold off on this stuff.
But you kind of still need it done.
Yeah. And all these people with all these older cars, though, it's like, they dump tons of money into the car. This car's only worth $5,000, and they're dumping $10,000 into this car.
It's like, why? It's not even. It's like
it's not even worth that much. You can go out and buy another one at better condition for cheaper than what you're putting into it right now.
I almost. Oh! What the? That was a yawn. All right, I almost. Huh?
I'm gonna go take a piss right now.
Ah, fuck, bro! You can't kill me. No, wait. Let's end it. We'll end it right now. Just hold on for a couple minutes. I almost bought a BMW. What is it, an X5, bro? X5 or maybe even an X3, but it was like
what year?
05 or something, bro. Way back, like it was when I was like, fuck it, it's a BMW.
Did it have the big screen in the center though?
No, I don't think so. No.
It just had like the dual, like the little knobs on it.
Yeah.
Did it have a V8?
I don't even remember, dude. I almost bought one. I was like. Last minute, I was like, "Nah, this is a bad idea. Like BMW, it's gonna be expensive for me to fuck with it, and then it's already. I can tell it's old, you know.
Even just like, parts for those things are expensive.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I kind of stuck with like Dodge for the most part. I got Dodge.
A good car.
Yeah, I got Dodge Ram. I had a Dodge Charger, Dodge Journey.
Yeah, they're all good.
They're all pretty like
I think if I were to buy any car right now, where I could go out. I didn't have a problem buying it based off of maintenance and fun and reliability. Would probably be like a Dodge Charger with the Scat Pack or the Daytona with the big Hemi in it.
Yeah, I know exactly. What
you definitely got plenty of power, and you gonna have some fun. And it's not too big a maintenance on it.
Dodge Charger. I was just talking about that in 2 podcasts ago, man. I said that shit was because we were talking about daily driver. Like, what would be like your car? And I had a Dodge Charger, and it was only a V6, but it was silver. I blacked out the lights on it. Like, I did it all by myself, dog, in high school. I blacked out the lights, all shitty.
You're like, oh, this is all cool.
Yeah, dog. I actually got the rims powder coated for my birthday. So it was all blacked out. I got a wing on the back, and my Uncle Brian put it put it on for me. Like in like 5 seconds, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was like,
I barely went in to go grab something to drink, and I'm back out here and it started.
It was done, dude. Yeah, and that was my favorite car, man. Still to this day, it was tinted. Windows were tinted. So yeah, Charger. I love Chargers, man. Any Charger, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, that's one of my like dream. I guess necessarily like family cars where you can still put a couple kids in there and
you could too. There's room, dude. There's room. It's fast. The you got room in the trunk. Even the V6 one was fast, man. It still had a little bit of push. It was a little heavy. Those cars are heavy, but
like my favorite car that I've owned so far probably it was like a 2000 BMW 540. Which had a V8 in it. It was a 4.4 liter V8.
That's a sedan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sedan.
And it had a manual transmission. That's probably...
manual transmission. I've been wanting a manual car, but I just...
Yeah. It was a fun car.
Don't find them.
It was definitely one of my favorite cars, and if I could go get another one, I probably would. And I bought that car for $1,500, and now the cheapest I can find one is like $5,000, $6,000.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard, just going back to the Porsche, I heard Porsches are really fun to drive, especially if you got one of those.
It's crazy though, because you're driving that thing and you crank it around a turn, instead of that car jolting to the side like every other car, when you turn you can feel it. That car just stays stable. It stays flat to the ground. Yeah.
Really?
You punch that thing, it just stays flat to the ground.
Does that have to do with where the engine's placed?
The suspension on that thing. The suspension that those things have.
It's just too good, or what?
Yeah, it just helps balance everything out.
Yeah, because I know those cars are, they've worked on almost the same design over and over again. You know, and kind of perfted the same style. The 911
has been around for, I don't know how long, but it's been around forever.
Yeah.
And the turboed ones, those things are crazy fast. The 911 turbos.
I wish I'd driven one of those.
The guy that's teaching me right now to work on cars, he took me on a ride in one of them. And it was a stick shift one, whereas obviously a stick shift is going to take more time to shift gears rather than electronic. Because all this electronic stuff nowadays can shift instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that thing got up to like 90 miles an hour real quick. And it's just crazy how quick those things can get up to speed.
How long are you planning on or like how long is the training that you're going on? Do you know how long you're training under him, or is it just kind of
pretty much until I catch up to what he knows?
And it's like, all right, you're basically.
And that's like, hey, let's try and figure out when these new cars come in. Let's see who can figure it out first.
Have you ever done a job yet on your own, like without him? Has he ever put you on a?
Yeah.
Just let you handle it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times he'll put me on a job on my own, and it's like he'll just let me know, like, hey, I'm gonna have you do this. I'm gonna see how you handle it. Just kind of like watch and see how I perform. So that way he kind of has an idea of how I'm performing on my own.
Almost like a little test.
Yeah,
or whatever.
to see
Not
if
even,
like
lets you get
see
a
if
little
like, hey,
hands-on.
I'm gone one of these days. See if I can trust you to take on all these cars that come in. Can I trust you that you can tell me what's wrong with this car and be accurate with it?
Yeah.
And
actually know what's wrong, not just fucking taking guesses and shit.
Yeah. Where it's like a lot of these cars, it's like, I mean, obviously I'm still learning, so there's some cars where it's been like, okay, I think this is what it is. Or I'm like, okay, I think this is how you're going to go about it. And he's like, obviously, like, the way I go about it is the right way. But he's been doing it so long where he's like, hey, here's a shortcut right here. Instead of you taking 2 hours to figure out what's wrong with this car, I'll let you figure it out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you would have already been working on it. You already know exactly what was wrong.
Where, I mean, obviously these shops charge you.
But that's something kind of that, like, you'd learn, though, along the way, obviously.
Yeah.
That's something
where
from
it's
the
like,
training and shit.
all these shops out here for, obviously, European and exotic cars, they charge a whole lot for an hour for labor.
Right 100 now, plus or what?
Yeah.
100 plus an hour?
I think we charge at the shop, I mean, obviously I'm just a mechanic, so I think we charge about $130 an hour, which is one of the cheaper. That's cheaper for all these shops out here.
I remember getting charged in Ventura, and it was for a regular car, 100 plus an hour.
Yeah.
And that was for a regular car.
Me out here, me and the guy that's training me, that's one of the top mechanics here, I would like to say honestly, like, in Southern California. He's one of the top mechanics for any car out there. And we charge like $60 an hour to work on the cars on the weekends.
Yeah.
And we can do everything a shop can do with the computers and everything. We can scan your car with every computer for every...
How do they get a hold of you?
It's just word of mouth.
Oh, there's no way. There's no website.
No, and we don't have a
number,
website or
no
nothing.
Instagram, no nothing.
No, I mean the guy who takes credit for it all is Frank. That's the guy who's been training me. That's the guy.
Look for Frank, man.
Credit to is Frank Reyes.
Frank Reyes. There you go. If you have a European, is it you guys just work on those cars?
No, we work on.
Exotic cars.
Or? That's what we specialize in is European and exotics. But we work on everything. Like today.
What's the easiest type of car to work on?
I mean, for me, the one that I'm most comfortable with is probably a Mercedes.
Okay, because you probably just see them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say. Like, I mean, all these like Japanese cars, Honda and Toyota. I mean, they're all simple cars to work on, but it's like we don't ever touch those.
So it's kind of still a little different when you look at it.
If you look at these cars, obviously, all these people that work on those cars, they can work on those. But when they look at like a Mercedes or a BMW, they're like a deer in the headlights. They don't know what they're looking at. Yeah. Whereas all I look at it as is a car is nuts and bolts. That's all it is. Every car has nuts and bolts in the computer.
Yeah.
All of them
that makes
have it.
sense.
There's nothing different about any of them. They're all the same thing.
You can kind of figure out all of them.
They're just built differently. This is the only difference. They're all the same thing. They're all an engine. They're all computers on the engine. It's
just like a different company, slightly looking different.
It's just here, let me put a different name on it or a different title. Yeah.
But what's your goal from this? What's your career goal? Where'd you want to go from here? Just keep working on cars and just kind of...
My career goal would probably be like a firefighter.
Yeah, so just be a mechanic for now and then just make some good money
where you can. To Tennessee and then try and get my EMT certification before I move.
Okay.
And then once I move, at least I have my certification, make sure I'm certified throughout the whole country, so when I move, I'm certified in that state.
Yeah.
And at least get my foot in the door and try and be a firefighter.
There you go.
It's something new every day you go to work. It's not the same thing. You're not working on the same cars. It's something new every day. Yeah.
That makes sense.
A little more exciting.
Yeah.
And it's like I like to go out and know that I'm helping people there. It's like right now I know I'm helping people.
Yeah, like you're helping people, but not really in the way that a firefighter would. Obviously, you're saving lives, and you're like, you feel like you're actually making a difference in the community. Yeah, I feel you. I've always had that debate, like because I've thought about being.
At least I gotta stay fit.
I see fit. I've obviously thought about being like a cop and stuff, and then it's like, I don't know, just shit's a little sideways for that. Yeah. That's right a little like, I don't know. Time for it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm really built to be a cop, I don't even want to be an asshole like that, like people that, I feel like a lot of cops nowadays, not even nowadays, just all the time, let's be straight up, are just kind of like, it's the law's a little too black and white. And it's just like, I obviously support, cops and stuff. My parents are correctional officers, so I support all that shit, but it's just like, shit's a little too black and white for me. I like being a little gray. Obviously, I like smoking weed and being a little on the gray side, but whatever. I've thought about being a cop. I like helping people, that's why. I've thought about being a firefighter. I just know being a firefighter, that's a lot of work for sure. I know training. I know a buddy or two that actually went. I know one that ended up, I think he is a firefighter right now, but the training and even I think the fire academy is pretty grueling. Just
it's supposed to be. I know it is.
Yeah, like even like
a lot of training.
You got to carry all that equipment. It's like what, probably 50 pounds of equipment. I don't know, even more. Maybe.
I mean, you got an air tank on the back. You got all this gear on top of you.
Yeah, but that's definitely a fulfilling job, man. That would be a good job for sure.
That's my goal.
Yeah. Have you gone to any schooling for that or anything?
I started one.
Yeah.
That was about it. I got kicked out because I was sick, and I went home sick one day. And when I came back the next week, the lady was like, "You went home sick last week." I'm like, "You told me I could go home." She's like, "Yeah, but you went home, so you're gonna be kicked out of the program."
Really?
Like, wow. So I spent $1,000 on this program that didn't even get completed because I was sick.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Yeah. What wants you to go to Tennessee? What makes you wanna?
Just raising my kids around those kind of people over there. I mean, as my personal view, I don't like California.
Yeah.
I don't like California. I don't think it's a place to raise kids. I mean, a lot of the kids around here are, especially, I'm not saying all of California, but majority of it, especially here in Southern California, Palm Springs area, Indian Wells, where a lot of people are raised on money.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, then these people don't care about you.
Exactly.
They don't care about the respect you have. They don't care about the person you are. They care about your bank account.
Yeah.
If you don't have a big bank account, then they don't care about you. And it's like I'm trying to raise my kids around people that care about the person who you are and the person you're going to be. And I just rather raise them around people like that.
I'm with that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm with that. Yeah, I get that. Because money's... I grew up in Blythe, you know? I grew up all the way up to basically, middle school, but like 7th grade. So basically almost high school I was in Blythe. And like, so I all my friends didn't have money, you know? All the people I grew up around didn't have much money. And then I came out here and it was different. I was like, or out to Palm Springs, you know? Palm Desert area, and you're like, dang, you see people with money, and they're different.
They're
you know?
everywhere.
People are kind of a little bit more about themselves, a little more selfish, and I get what you're saying for sure. Just kind of going to a little bit of a small town feel, a little more like maybe more of a just a more like you're more of grounded. You know, you're more around. You know, just like farms and like regular life.
More of a homegrown.
Yeah. I definitely understand that, and I want to figure out some way to get my kids to feel that way too, and even if it's not getting out of California, it's even like the small things. Like when we were living at my parents' house, I had like we got a turtle. I made a little garden for my kids, like stuff like that. I wanted them to feel like you gotta feel one with like. Nature and like feel like calm around people and not feel like everything's everything is around you, like everything surrounds you and you are only you matter and all that, and I feel like a lot of people are pretty selfish, but yeah, that's good, man. I'm happy you guys are thinking about going out there and making
be good
the move.
for us.
Yeah, for sure. Getting out of this California, and especially this valley you kind of get sucked in, and everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yikes.
Move somewhere new.
Yeah. I'm not even from the valley, so it's kind of hard for me. It's harder for me because I'm from Blythe, and like, people, everybody like grew up out here, and like I don't even know people like that.
Yeah,
out here.
exactly.
Like, I
wasn't from here. I moved here when I was 16. People already know me.
So you probably know. You're like the same way as me. You're kind of like, you're kind of an outsider. You're like, everybody was cool with you, but everybody grew up with everybody, but they didn't grow up with you, So they're like, not really that cool. But yeah, I get you. The valley's good.
Small.
It's alright. Yeah, a little small. And I feel like I've even told a few people, I wish the valley had less high schools. I wish it was more like 2 high schools, and maybe it was like a North
rivalry.
versus South rivalry, like, and let the athletes let there be more athletes in one school, because I think we're all a little too spread out, and there's not even enough people to even make the teams. But we're getting way off topic talking about the valley and all this shit.
Alright, well, I gotta take a piss. So.
Yeah, take a piss. Let's end this shit. Episode 23, we had a little video messed up because Dejan was calling me. Shout out my boy Dejan. Episode 23, my boy Nelson, he's about to piss himself. The mechanic, let's go, bro. Let's end the episode. Let's end this video. Done. Wait, done.